There are those books that when you review them, you say to the world, you don't appreciate this thing enough. Please appreciate this thing more. Then there are those books like White Noise by Don DeLillo, where you look at how the world treats them and you say, yeah, right on. Hey, beautiful people of the internet, my name is Ryan, and I had a person tell me recently that when I say beautiful people of the internet, they imagine that I am speaking only to them. So, yes, you, unnamed individual of the internet, I just called you beautiful. Anyways, this is a book review of White Noise by Don DeLillo. And disclaimer, this review, just like the book itself, is coming to you in in 3 parts. 3-part book review. The basics about the book, my personal reaction to it, and that final, eternal question, out of all of the books which you will read before you die, should White Noise be one of them? Okay, the basics about the book. White Noise is Don DeLillo's most famous book, or at least it's the one that launched him into fame back in 1985. You should remember that date. It was massively popular and also won the National Book Award for that year. My copy is 326 pages long, and there are lots of short chapters, so it's a pretty quick read. DeLillo is still alive and writing. I'm actually, hopefully, going to go be seeing him at a reading here soon. He just came out with it's like his 16th or 17th or 18th book, which that's depressing because I am really late to the DeLillo game. Okay, so the plot. White Noise is the story of Jack Gladney, who is a professor and also our first-person narrator in the fictional academic field of Hitler studies. And a good portion of this book is spent having kind of academic conversations or satires of academic conversations about plenty of topics, but mostly about death. Yeah. Tons of death. Possibly my favorite sections of this book, though, are the insane, again, absurd parts about family life. Okay, like I said earlier, this book is split into 40 chapters across 3 sections. There are 20-ish chapters in the first section, 1 chapter that is 1 section long, and then 20-ish chapters again for the last section. And that parallel structure really appeals to me. To be overly simple, White Noise is kind of a before, during, and after. But the important thing is that central section, that section is called the Airborne Toxic Event, which, yes, is a physical description of the kind of apocalyptic event that this book centers around, and is also the name of a band that I love. I'm finding, once again, that I have a book with a plot that is hard to talk about. Like, major sections of this book take place in a supermarket, which, how do you talk about that? Actually, you notice how a lot of the best books have plots that are kind of hard to talk about? I'm thinking of Wind Up Bird Chronicle, too. They all seem to have something about them that just kind of, like, resists simplicity. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. That was stupid. I just remembered books like The Corrections and Giovanni's Room and hell, even Moby Dick, which those plots can kind of be summed up into 1 sentence. Dang, I thought I was onto something there. Beware the easy answers. Okay, second, my personal reaction to the book. Reading White Noise was like... I have an idea. 1 second. Let me come up with a metaphor. Reading this book was like, say you're a huge fan of Parks and Rec, right? You love Parks and Rec, and you have never seen The Office. You are very comfortable in your love for Parks and Rec, and then all of a sudden, one day, you catch a few episodes of The Office on reruns on TV. Or Netflix. I don't know why I didn't say Netflix. Who cares that you love Parks and Rec more? You are seeing in The Office all of these various traces of things which would eventually develop into the humor that is Parks and Rec. You didn't realize you were missing it until you saw it, but you were kind of missing a step, The Office, in the heritage of humor that led to Parks and Rec. Okay, in this analogy, my Parks and Rec is the postmodern novels of the 90s and early 2000s, and my Office is White Noise. Here's some of the things that connect the dots between White Noise and the novels that I love. Advertising and entertainment, and in particular TV, almost acts like its own character in the book. A lot of times the story is fragmented or disembodied, like for example, during a conversation between members of the family, maybe all of a sudden you hear a line of dialogue from the radio. All of those things are tactics that postmodern novels use to get us to talk about how entertainment has changed the digital age. Speaking of which, I have heard about 10 people say that White Noise is quote-unquote full of pop references. Hold on, that sentence that I just said, that is a useless sentence. And we have to be more careful and more full of intention when we talk about these things in novels. Full of pop references or pop culture is kind of like the word interesting. There is always something better that you could be saying than that word. One better phrase that we could say, for instance, is that white noise tries to capture the texture of the 1980s. This is hard stuff to talk about, but here is how I have been imagining it. A novel has a grasp or a reach. There are things that the author decides to put inside of the novel's reach and also outside. Some books have a lot of variety about what is inside of its reach, and some have just one obsessive thing. White noise, in this metaphor, puts inside of its reach American pop culture, in particular advertising and TV and celebrity culture. We're not helping anyone when we say that a book is full of pop culture or references pop culture, because that is reductionist, and we become better readers when we can talk in specific ways about what a text is doing. White noise uses pop culture in the same way that a lot of books use political culture or myth, etc. Okay, thirdly, lastly, finally, ultimately, should you read the book? I should have read it about 5 years ago, or at least right before I read all of those 90s novels, which, yes, I should have read it a year ago. Also, I should have read it a year ago when I watched a book chemist video where he said that this book was compulsory reading. I now pass that message on to you, particularly if you like anything postmodern or anything that has reacted strongly against postmodernism. Also, if you dig a really clean, cold style of writing that is still really funny in its like ironic method, or if you just love reading about dysfunctional families, which if you do, no judgment here. So the book is good for all of those reasons. Like I have said way too much in this video, I adored it for the way that it connected the dots for me. However, I need to state for the record that this book is great regardless. It is great before all of those things. And in my opinion, it deserves your time. Okay, and the only real option I have, now that I have read my way in a complete circle around this book, is that I have to read Underworld by DeLillo. It's not next on the list, but it has significantly moved up, so you will likely see an Underworld review on this channel. Alrighty, that is all that I've got for this week. If you are new here, I have a playlist in the description below that includes all of the book reviews that I've done. You could check those out if you wanted to. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next week. Best wishes! You do not have enough time. Hey beautiful people of the internet, my name is Ryan, and you just do not have enough time to be reading crappy books. Sorry, it's a Monday and we're about to get real somber here in this video, but I decided to bring you to a nice redwood grove to make up for it. I really wonder how many of you stay around for the end screen. I've always been really curious.